Talking about poverty alleviation now, the federal government has called for more participation from the private sector in the fight against poverty in the country. The Senior Special Assistant to President Bola Tinubu on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Delu Yakubu, made the call at the inauguration of the Shola Mese Foundation Free Skill Acquisition Program in Abuja. Yakubu, who represented the president at the event, urged the private sector to join forces with the federal government to tackle poverty and related issues. The presidential aide emphasized the importance of collaboration, stating that it is important in a way that it will be a plus to the government and that the government will be able to handle such things if there is enough collaborative efforts in place. Now, joining us on the news is Akin Fatunke, an economy analyst. Akin Fatunke, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Cool. Thank you.
So in the light of what has come out from the presidency, talking about collaborations, what or which sectors of the Nigerian economy would you say hold the most promise for private sector investments that can alleviate poverty? Would you talk about agriculture, manufacturing, services, or which would you say can actually deliver on that?
I would say the one that will help us with mass production, food security, relative, security of lives and property, and essentially, I will rank agri on top of that pack. And of course, manufacturing will have the services, including education, including healthcare, including financial inclusion. Then we talk about ICT and technology, infrastructure development. All this naturally must come. But you know what, later we can continue to talk about which sector should not rank. Virtually all the 17 that we have in the SDG goals. But in line with what I've just told you, governance. If government is asking for collaboration with the private sector, the government must be ready to subscribe itself to how the private sector works. And what is it? Governance, ethical practices, budget transparency, prioritization of what needs to be done in the poverty alleviation. So you see an average private sector company based with private sector are growing for the past 10, 15, 20, 30, some 50 years. They have clear-cut succession planning, not what we have in the public sector. And the opaqueness that we have is out of the place. There is a natural kiss, between all the segments in a private sector environment. When you get to the public sector, you're talking about the physical and then you're talking about the monetary. They are all audited and they all subject themselves to the shareholders, because shareholders' funds, unlike public sector funds that can be treated in any way that you can be talking about, is not going to be. So if you want to be in Rome, act like the Roman.
So I'd like to also put this into the mix. Can incentives now be provided to support these private sector in eradicating poverty in the country? And if that would come into play, what kind of support would you think, or would you say would be necessary if we are looking at the long-term and the short-term benefits of this sort of partnership with government?
There were a few incentives that came in times past, and it ended in what you want to describe the yoke of corruption. Tax holidays, waivers that can be accounted for, situations where, and this is the most important aspect, that if you want us to come in, if you want the private sector to come in, neither you want to come in, but please, you are not going to be breathing down our necks with your politicians as people who should be, say, on the board, people who should want to have element of control. Yes, provide the enabling environment, give it all the security apparatus that we should have, release the funds, monitor the funds, and ensure that they are properly, audited and accounted for. And when you find any infractions, punish the offenders. The Humanitarian Affairs Special Advisor spoke, and when she spoke, they are also speaking, is the fact that if we find any unethical conduct, we are not going to wait. We don't have to wait. Come and then get it done.
Okay.
Unlike what I've had lately. So those incentives, private sector partnership, BOT, build, operate, and transfer.
All right.
Clear. And then the procurement processes must be clearly set out, and there must be clear division of labor between those who are operating, those who are managing, those who are on the front floor, those you are employing, and not this talk about federal character, putting swap eggs in round holes. It must be fit for purpose.
Now, so some people have actually argued that it's not as though the government does not really know what to do when it comes to putting probably frameworks in place and, of course, seeing to situations like this. Now, there have been the narratives that, poverty has been weaponized, not only in Nigeria, but in this part of the world. So, and of course, some people are actually benefiting from it. So, are there challenges when it comes to government partnering with the private sector to deal with the issues around illiteracy, poverty, and everything that are actually holding down the growth of the people now in Nigeria?
Clearly, Lekon, absolutely no doubt about that. What is fit for purpose? It is not what you feel that is good for me. It's more of what I feel is good for me that I will now put in a box, and then you can decide to choose one or two or three. You are not going, for instance, to be embarking on giving projects, clear projects of building certain things. I don't want to go into all those nitty-gritties that will not impact, that will not impact down to the grassroots. We are going to have to make sure that your law works. The law that makes sure that you pay some commensurate wages to your workers, who must be seen, who must be seen to be contributing, and those who are not contributing should be laid out. Finally, the issue about federal character, that we have to try and balance things at all costs. We need to have a look at it and look at it again. Government must show that good example. If you don't put all those in place, you're just deceiving yourselves. Take what is happening in the oil and gas industry. I'll just use that as an example. In the oil and gas industry, why do we have the president as the Minister of Petroleum Resources? What are they doing there? That kind of thing will not happen in the private sector. We must make sure that government, if you want a collaboration, we bring our techniques, we bring our expertise, give us the enabling environment, give us the tools, and we are going to deliver the devil. And if we don't do that within 1 or 2 years, you get us out of the place, unlike what you find in the private sector. So that's the other challenge. And the overall other challenge is what you know, Lekun, and I know, everybody knows that.
Okay. And
that's the issue of security. We have not been able to put our hands on making sure we tame security, kidnapping. Just what happened in Goza as an example. Farmers cannot go to farms. Headers, all those needs political solutions in ways that I use the word solutions because I think it's getting a little bit out of hand. Policy and on both sides, physical and the fiduciary. We know some of the people who have infracted. We know them. So we get them out, we punish them, and then we will value and bless those who are doing very good.
Of course.
returning something to the post.
Well, of course, it's usually said that it's better late than never. The earlier the Nigerian government gets a hang of these issues and begins to deal with those attendant factors, then the better for Nigeria as a country. Akin Fatunke, economy analyst, thank you so much for this insightful contribution that you've had on the news at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leko, for having me.